Hi guys, Squirrel here. I'm at Los Angeles Airport, LAX. The sun is just setting on this beautiful August day. It's clear skies, calm weather. It even feels warm. It feels so warm. Such a stark contrast to where I am right now in the UK, where it's chucking it down with rain and strong winds. But we are at LAX and the catering crew are just bringing over the gourmet food for my passengers. Only the best for Squirrel Airlines. Yes, indeed. Squirrel Airlines, some people say we're like Ryanair, but that's a complete fallacy. We're more like British Airways. We serve our passengers only the best food, complimentary nuts included. Now, it's going to ask me to open some doors in a second. Bring up the FMC with the doors. It's going to ask me to open the entry door forward and aft, which is this door here and this door here, so that the catering can go in. There we go. Right, forward. That's the door opening there. The catering will go in. Once the catering truck pull away, the baggage will turn up and they'll load the baggage, and then we'll be boarding the passengers. If I sort of spin us round the other side, you'll see we've got the jetway in where the passengers come in. There's also a rear entrance here in case we want to split the passengers, load them in at the rear. So while all that's going on, I'll tell you about the route, and we'll punch this into the flight management computer. Right. Down here is the FMC. First of all, we've got to tell it where it is. It has no idea where it is. Ignore that error. Pausing it. Okay, reference airport. We are at KLAX. It's a reference airport. Our gate, unfortunately, because we're using a scenery add-on, the gate numbers don't correspond to what it understands. It only understands basic FSX scenery, if you like. That's okay. So our origin is KLAX. I've got a route pre-programmed in, which is a route to Las Vegas. So we'll load that up. LAX to Las Vegas. About 300 nautical miles or so. And flight number is SQ1RL, as is on the side of our aircraft and on our nameplate over here. Flight number plate. And we'll be taking off out of runway 24L, I think it is. Yeah, 24L, which is a westerly runway over the sea. So punch that in. And we'll activate and exec. So that locks that in. So now we need to tell it about our departure. So we're going to depart out runway 24L, and we're going to depart out of a SID, which is a standard instrument departure, I believe. It's essentially just a route out of the. We've got some standard routes out of the airport, and this is one of them. So we're going to fly that route out of there. Wants me to close some doors. We'll do that in a sec. And when we get over to Las Vegas, we're going to land it on runway ILS 01L. We're not going to go in on the star because the route we've got takes us straight in via a standard star anyway. Okay, wants us to close entry aft right. Let's go back here so we can see what's going on. There we go. FS actions, doors. Wants us to close those two doors there. So now the little stand, the little walkway comes back. That'll collapse back down. They'll go away. Now if we bring up GSX ground services, you can see this is not standard FSX, by the way. This is a GSX add-on which gives you all the ground services. Deboarding complete. Catering vehicles are in position. We don't need to refuel. We'll request boarding in a minute. We'll let that pull away. Same with the airport. This is a scenery add-on. I will list my add-ons in the video description in case you're wondering. And this aircraft is a PMDG 737 800 NGX. It's a very complicated airplane, and it will cost you $85 to get the set of 737s from PMDG. I can make the skin available for you if you happen to have a PMDG, but most people won't. Okay, now then. Request boarding. Boarding requested. Right, while it's doing that, we shall carry on. You can hear everybody getting on there, do you hear that? That's the boarding. People are really noisy. Anyway, let's perfin it. So now we're going to initialize the aircraft calculations. So reserves, we're going to have 8, cost index 40, and flight level, we're going to go in for 25,000, which goes up here. So we'll exec that. That allows the computer to perform some calculations now. We've just got to tell it the acceleration rate, if you like, how fast we're going to fly and how hard we're going to climb. Obviously that affects fuel usage amongst other things and passenger comfort levels. Flaps, we're going to go flaps of 5 and calculate center of gravity. It now calculates our trim to be 7.03, and we're going to need to put that in a minute. First of all, I'm just going to go and check my legs are not broken, because they will. Check my legs are not broken. First of all, I'm going to check my root legs are not broken. Okay, so we'll bring up the plan, which is here. So this is the flight plan, and we'll step through. This is our takeoff of runway 24L. This is our aircraft. 24L goes westerly like this. And we'll take off out of LAX over the sea, and then we'll bank left, come around the south side of it. If I zoom out slightly, you'll be able to see that. So there's the airport, and we came out around the south side of the airport. So we're now heading easterly, and you can see there's a disconnect here. Route discontinuity, we just click on TARC, bring it up a level. That will join the route back up, and then we'll carry on. Now here is Vegas Airport, and our 01L runs in this direction from, you know, like 10 degrees like that. What we're going to do is we're going to fly in and descend on a loop like that, rather than just descend and fly straight in. We're going to have a quick flyby of Vegas, and then we'll come in on 01L. We'll be descending as we go through this S shape here. I can see a discontinuity there, so we need to fix that. So we go around the route there, there's discontinuity here, so we'll click on CODNO, bring that up, exec that in, and there you can see the pink line is committed into the computer, and that completes the route. So now we can program in V1, VR and V2. So V1 is the speed we're committed to a takeoff, VR is the speed we're going to pull back on the stick and rotate, as it's called, VR. V2 is our takeoff speed, if you like, what we're looking to leave the runway at, 145, which means approximately we want 165 on here as our climb speed. So I'm going to punch that in now. And our altitude, our ceiling is going to be 25,000, so we'll do that while we're here. Like so. Also, we shall bring up some panel lighting. We're going to need that. If we just have a quick look outside, you can hear a lot of activity outside. Maybe wondering what's going on. That's the baggage being loaded now. And the sun is setting, so we need to take off soon. Passengers are on board, baggage is being loaded. Once that completes, we'll be ready for our engine start. We can't start the engine. The way GSX works is when you get a pushback, the engines have to be off. So I had to shut the engines down. We're on ground power at the moment, but we'll have to start our auxiliary power unit in order to start our engines, which we'll do in a second. Right, now while we are down here, I'll tell you what I will do. We'll set the trim, which is 703. Oh, wrong way. That just makes it easier when we're taking off. We're not going to be manually faffing around with anything. The trim level will be set for a nice clean takeoff. 703, bang on. Okay, let's turn on the instrument lighting here, because it will go dark as the sun starts to set. We need to be able to see what's going on. You can see the floodlights for when it gets night time. We don't need that yet. We'll punch in the ILS of Vegas while we're here, which is 110.10. Transfer that in. Boarding is completed, so let's make sure that they are fully aware that seatbelts need to be on. Doors. Wants us to close some doors now. Left entry aft. Like so. I think we can close cargo doors as well now. Let's close those. Okay, so 25,000 cabin pressure is what we want. We're basically now going through takeoff procedures, which I don't really have written down. They're currently in my head, which means I tend to forget some things. So we're going to start the APU, which is down here. And we need to keep our eye on the exhaust temperature here, which will climb and then settle back down at about 4. Then the APU is running. We'll be able to disconnect ground power. And we'll be able, because we've got a little auxiliary power unit in the back of the aircraft, which you can use to when you've not got the engines running. Obviously, when the engine's running, you've got power off the engines. But to start the engines, you need power. We could start it with ground power, but the problem with that is I need to get pushback from the GSX add-on, and I can only do that with the engines off. And when we're getting pushed back, of course, we can't have ground power. So that's what you get for going realistic. Right, so we've got the APU. Once it's on 4, which is coming down to 4 now, you see it. I'll tell you what we could do with, we could do some panel lighting here. Panel brightness. Can't really see it yet, but it will become useful when we take off later. Okay, so let us flick to APU power. We can now disconnect the ground power because we're running on our auxiliary power unit. So we go doors, we go ground connections, and we disconnect ground power and remove the wheel chocks, which are currently set in position. Cool, running on our own power. Now then, let us see, we've disconnected ground power, so what we can do now is we can request a pushback. Let's remove the jetway. I can request a pushback now. Is that jetway coming back? Yes, it is. Very slowly. While the engines are off. Okay. Prepare for pushback and departure. There we go. So in he comes. He'll get out of this thing and he'll lock his pin into that wheel, which we can have a look at if you want. So in it comes. He'll come round here. He'll lock the pin in. Ready for pushback. Excellent. Come on, matey. There he is. Now, obviously the animation, that's not him dancing. that's inputting the pin in. Okay. It's still pretty cool though, I still like it. Okay, while that's going on.
Departure check completed.
Release parking brake. Parking brakes are released.
All engines clear.
So now he's saying we can start the engines at will, which is what we'll do. We shall start these engines up. APU bleed. Making sure I've got this right. So now we go to start engine 2. Now if we put that on here, we'll get the engine information there. So I can see engine 2, which is the right engine. Once that climbs to about 20, I'll pull this lever here and that will start engine 2, like so. So if we have a look outside now, go. Engine 2 is just beginning to start up. Now we can't start both engines at once, we have to wait for engine 2 to begin. Now in order to know if we've done that, if we go to the overhead, once that clicks back to off, we can then start engine 2. So wait for that to happen. And while we're doing that, we'll put our taxi lights on. Did you see it click back? So now we can start engine 1. So same thing. Wait for engine 1 to reach 20. And then click. That starts up engine 1, so the engine 2 is running quite happily. So we get our pushback. You can see it's really starting to get dark now.
Set parking brake.
Okay, so we'll set the parking brake, like so. Now, that's both engines started, which means we can turn off the APU, which is here and here. So now we should be running on engine power now. And we can turn off the APU, like so. And we can put these back onto auto. You can hear that noise then? That's them disconnecting from our aircraft.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass being removed.
Cool. Now let's check anti-collision lights. Put our wing light on. Logo on. We won't put the strobe on just yet. We'll leave it on steady. Now then, auto brake needs to go on RTO. Flaps need to go on 5, so we'll do that while we're here. So when he says something like have a safe journey, that's when we know we're ready. So the runway lights should be coming on any second. Have a good trip, there you go. See it? Top left, have a good trip. Right. So we can begin taxiing over. Now I'm not using air traffic control, so I just need to be cautious and check for other aircraft. Let's see overhead. You see it's a beautiful sunset. Absolutely gorgeous. They should have switched on all the lights if you ask me by now. I'd say it's dark enough for to have all the... There you go, you see the lights coming on the ground? The whole place just looks magnificent when it lights up. Now, runway 24L is just to the right over here, so we'll get over there. And then we'll complete our takeoff procedures. The scenery coming out of Los Angeles is pretty cool. Especially when the sun's in the position it's in, and you get all these shadows cast on the mountains over there. Looks wonderful. Okay, so this is runway 24L on our left here. So I'm just going to go up into our waiting position. There we go, runway 24L. Cool. Set the parking brake. Now then, what else have we got to do? Okay. Trim is set. Auto brakes on RTO. So we need our landing lights, takeoff lights, taxi lights on. We need to go to strobe light now. Okay, I think that's it. Oh, the lights have come on. You can see the runway lights have come on now. That's fantastic. Right, pre-flight checks. I'm going to basically take off. We're going to go for a 165 takeoff here. Let's put the flight director on the auto throttle. I'm going to auto throttle it but manually fly it into a takeoff, and then that bank left I showed you, I'm going to engage the control with stick here rather than autopilot, and you'll see we'll be able to, I'll control it as we're banking around Los Angeles, and then I'll engage autopilot for our final kind of climb up to our ceiling height of 25,000. That is the general plan, but plans very rarely go according to your plan. And I'm sure mine would be no exception. I think we're done here. Run map. Which is cool. Both flight directors should be on. Okay, let's do this. Release parking brakes, and we'll just check that nothing is coming in for a land. Your frame rate does take a bit of a tanking when you're in a scenery as detailed as this one, and all the lights are on and you've got bloom turned on. It doesn't matter how good your computer is, how good your graphics card is. This game is a 32-bit game made in 2006, and it just doesn't take advantage of it all. Now I can see aircraft coming in. The question is, which runway they're landing on. This is the disadvantage of not using air traffic control. Now, the reason I'm not using air traffic control is because I've programmed a flight plan to my FMC, and I've specified, you know, SIDS and stars and all that kind of good stuff. But the air traffic control will basically assign that for you, so you have to be able to reprogram your FMC while you're on the runway or while you're coming in for your approach. And I'm not at that level yet. I'm still working my way around the FMC, the flight management computer. Now you can see they're landing on the other runway, so that's cool. They're not landing on this runway, so we should be good for a takeoff. But once I get to that level, I will engage air traffic control as well. But, you know, like I say, I'm still learning this. And there's a lot to learn. There's a huge amount to learn. I can see flashing lights at the bottom of that runway, which I think is normal. I'm just going to hold up here a second and make sure that that other aircraft is coming in on the runway to the right of us and not on this one. It should be. There should be one takeoff runway and one landing runway. That's normally what you would expect, but I just want to be doubly sure. Yeah, it definitely looks like it's going right. Okay, I think we're all set. Cool, let's do this. Time to take off. Oh, there was an aircraft there just taking off. Hey, he's up, that's fine. Again, without air traffic control, that is always possible. There's a plane just to my right. Hope he's smart enough to stop. V1. V1. Rotate, that's pull back. We've reached V2 speed. And we are in our climb. So I'm just going to hold steady in this climb. Raise the landing gear, which is always a good view. And we are climbing. Need to zoom in a little bit on that flight plan. Just going to increase our speed a little bit and just hold it steady here. Raise the flaps now. Just look at this view, guys. Seriously, look at that. Just wow. What a view. Okay. We're climbing a little bit too high a rate. We need to climb at about 10 degrees, so I'm just pushing down on the nose a little bit. In fact, I think we'll go to control with stick now, which will make it a little bit easier. Let's bank right slightly. So what I'm doing here is I'm just following, if you look here, you see this pink cross? It's to the right and it's high. That means I need to climb and bank right slightly in order to follow the exact flight plan. So we'll just bring in some gentle movements. We're just to the right of the flight plan, which is fine. It's no big deal. There we go. It should just come back across now. It's just because I'm not autopiloting it, but it really doesn't matter too much. Let's try and get a good view for you. What about that? Is that a good view? Oh, is that a good view? What about that? Oh my life, look at that. That's incredible. Right, let's just push the nose down slightly. We're going to leave the seatbelt signs on. I'm not worried about that lines being to the right, because if you look at the flight plan down here, we're a bank to bank left anyway, so that will just snap across in a second. And I'll just bank left. So I'm just concerned myself with my altitude for now. And that'll start to move. We'll probably increase our flight speed a little bit. That one. I'm just bringing that up mostly for your benefit so you can see what I'm trying to aim for here. Again, I could just click the autopilot button and it would do all this for me. That's literally what the autopilot would do. It would just fly to this route. But okay, I'm going to start moving left now. Just going to ignore that. Seems to be stuck on the previous node. We're following our flight plan, even if that isn't. Just bring up my FMC in a second. Let's just engage autopilot now. Okay, so we're now following the pre-programmed flight plan. And while it's doing that, we'll go and have a look outside. Oh. Now that is a beautiful sunset. There's an aircraft down there, see it? For a 2006 engine, if you're prepared to spend a little bit of cash on this thing, you can get this thing up to a pretty decent state, I'd say. That is LAX. Remember I said to you we're going to take off and bank round and fly around the south side of it. That's exactly what we're doing. There's the moon up there. Okay, we're not on our flight plan because I've probably forgotten to engage something. Swore I pressed LNAV. LNAV's not engaged. I did tell you that the best laid plans very rarely go to plan. LNAV isn't engaged. Why is LNAV not engaged? Where are we? I think it can't work out where we are. I think that's... There's PV. Tell you what. Let's bring that up. Let's exact that in. Go straight to halts. It couldn't engage it because it couldn't work out how to get over to PV, I think. So that should do it now. We'll just cut out that node and then we're going to go straight to halts. So it's fine. I think that's what was happening back there when we were taking off as well. it couldn't work out how to get to the next node. So what I should have done was deleted that node, and then it'll go to the next one and go, oh right, I can work out how to get there. Because it's not physically able to get the aircraft to the next node, it just kind of gives up, cries, turns the lights off and goes, I don't know what to do! Help me, pilot! And there you go. Views don't get much better than that, do they? We just left Los Angeles, so we're now, if we look at our progress here, there's KLAS, that's Las Vegas, that's 303 nautical miles. So you can either fly this in real time, which by the way, I should really have let the passengers get out of their seats at this point. Naughty Captain Squirrel. And we could turn off these runway lights, landing lights, and taxi light. Again, this is all part of the procedures and checklists that they go through, which I'm not really going through. At the moment, I'm just enjoying myself learning how to fly these aircraft. Just make no mistake, this is a complicated aircraft to fly. There's a learning curve. And I've got a lot of add-ons going on here to get this game up to this kind of level. But you can see the payback. It's so worth it. There's the airport over there, see it? There's another airport here. What struck me when I took out of Las Vegas was just how flat this is. It's so big and so flat, and then all this mountain here. And when we get over to these mountains here, you'll see as you go past, it's just desert. All of this is kind of green and lush, and then on the other side of it, it's pure desert. It's an amazing difference. But anyway, what you can do is you can go to options, simulation rate, and you can speed the thing up, so we can go for 4 times speed. Like that. Don't recommend you go above 8 speed, because it will not behave as you expect. Stick to 8 maximum, even on the long haul flights, unfortunately. And you should see the ground will all start to light up as the sun sets as well. All the lights go on. We should be getting into Vegas. The sun will probably be just below the horizon by the time we get to Vegas. So we'll see Vegas lit up at night, which should look pretty cool, I imagine. And that is the view out of the cockpit window. The captain sees. Now here's the mountains I was telling you about. So if you have a look on the outside, you kind of see what I mean. There's another airport down there. There's loads of airports. Look, there's a little one here. So many airports. Now you can see how lush and green that is. As if the rainfall that comes in just hits this as it precipitates going up this hill. And then when you get to the side, of course, the rain doesn't get very far down here, so... I remember my geography classes about precipitation, and over here it's all dry, essentially.